Hello, I am Chandu Nair handling the course on marketing management. Now we are going to talk about a really very interesting topic, a topic that is engaging marketers' minds in India today, the topic of rural marketing. The first question of course to ask is, what is rural anyway? But before that, we will just take a look at what exactly this chapter covers. We will try to understand what exactly is the nature and characteristics of the rural market, what do we include, what do we exclude, what are the dynamics out there, the demand of products and services in rural markets, the importance and scope of rural marketing, how do rural customers behave, challenges, problems of rural markets, and the marketing strategy for rural markets, and what the strategic implications are. Now let me just give you a bit of a caveat here before we proceed any further. There's a bunch of material today that's available on rural markets and marketing, and this chapter just covers a little bit, it gives you only a very broad overview. There are a lot of specific details and tables in the textbook that you have, some of which, as I mentioned in other interactions with you, some of which are extremely dated. So what I would really request you as a student and marketing professional to do is to actually do some of your own research on rural markets, especially look at different product categories, ones of your interest, ones which are growing today, see how exactly the orientation of those markets has changed over the period of many years, especially in the last 20 years or so. What exactly are the dynamics happening out there in the rural marketplace? Are there changes? What was earlier rural, has it become semi-urban, semi-rural, and is it becoming more urban? Are there truly differences between urban customers and rural customers in many product categories, or is it becoming like one extended big village or one extended big town? Now these are several questions that you as professionals need to actually look at, consider and delve deeper into. So this is only meant to give you a very quick overview, and it's up to you as a professional to understand this a lot more in detail, because this is a very important area. It has tremendous opportunities, it has also lots of challenges, and India, as you know, is a pretty complex and diverse country. So here's wishing you all the very best. So what is rural is the first question that I asked. Is it really something which is just a kind of demographic statistic? Or is it a mindset? You can still be in the city but behave like a villager. Or basically, is it a small place with all those fields, mera gaon, mera desh, So like all the movies say, it's as if the farmer is a good soul and the city fellow is a bad man. Is it slushy roads and mud houses, kacha roads, not pakka, concrete or tar roads? Generally in marketing in India, they say rural means any place with a population of less than 20,000 people. But is it just that? So this is a question that you as a professional can explore and understand. Because if you look at slushy, dirty roads, there are enough such roads even in urban areas. So would they really qualify as that? So really speaking, you have to figure out what exactly is a rural area. So what is important therefore is to restate the rural marketing perspective, because there's a lot of confusion in our heads as to what exactly is this thing called rural. If you look at the mainstream marketing, it operates primarily on twin perspectives, which is of consumer behavior and strategic marketing. Now the emerging perspective is, how do you create and distribute values among the market parties? That creates a real win-win situation, for both the buyers and the sellers, if you were to look at them as the key parties in the entire transaction. Now in the case of rural marketing, here's a proposed perspective where you have two sets of guys. One is rural producers and empowering of rural producers, and the second thing is of strategic marketing. So it is important for us to consider how to enhance the productivity of rural producers through exchange processes, rationalize the gains from the exchange through productivity enhancing systems. So it's not just about selling or marketing to those in the rural areas, it's also about looking at the producers located in the rural areas. So let's take this, two key aspects of rural producers empowerment and strategic marketing and understand a little bit more about what this entails. One of the things here in rural producers empowerment is to see that institutional mechanisms that exist to promote value addition for the rural producer. Today, for example, a rural producer may, if he is having a set of cows, now how does he convert that milk that he produces over there into more value added produce? Is it worthwhile? Is there economies of scale? Is there something else he can do? Is there opportunity for organic produce? Now these are questions that one can start thinking about. So there also needs to be improved market regulation for agro produce. Big issues for many rural producers is the issue of transparency, price discovery mechanisms, all kinds of competition, and many times this lack of information and transparency and lack of adequate support mechanisms hinders the development of rural producers. There also needs to be active participation of the rural producers in the rural markets by actually helping them meet the local demand for various goods and services. And overall, apart from the work that organizations, the Khadi and Village Industries Corporation is doing, you need more coherent framework for rural industrialization and rural businesses in general. So this is what is meant by rural producers empowerment. As you can make out, there's a bunch of activities that are and tasks that are required to ensure that such an empowerment take place. But this in turn helps in the development of the overall rural market as such. So the second aspect is one we are more familiar with, which is the aspect of strategic marketing. And here the big issue is how do you improve the productivity, reduction of costs and improve the overall profitability of a large number of rural industries. How do you promote farm, non-farm products and services with competitive comparative advantage, and how do you convert traditional rural products into major economic activities. Lots of products that one can think of out here which are made or which you think are essentially made or produced in rural areas, and we can think of how to make them far more thriving businesses. Example, large types of handicrafts or different kinds of artisanship related products may fall in this category, and also a whole bunch of agro produce. As you've seen, there's a bunch of opportunities in the rural area. Obviously, to paraphrase several people, India still lives in its villages, and to really understand India, you need to understand its villages. Plus, there's been an increase overall in India's population, and absolutely, if you look at it, the rural areas still predominate in terms of population. So therefore, there's an increase in demand. There's also an increase in rural incomes as a result of several things. One of the key things is the rise in prices of several food grains and other food related products, and that has helped in increasing agrarian prosperity. There's also been a large amount of investment in rural development through various government schemes. For example, right now a very popular scheme is the Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Scheme, which has pumped in a huge amount of money. Before that, there were other programs which were oriented towards rural areas, both at the central level and at the state level. So there's a lot of money which has been pumped into development, and that has had a spillover effect, a kind of a trickle down, or any kind of word you want to use, but it has improved rural incomes. There's also been, thanks to greater transport and communication, more contact than before between rural and urban folk, and there's a lot of migration to and fro because of such increased transportation and communication. In several places, there has also been an increase in literacy and education, and that has led quite a few of the rural populace to become more to move up the social class, or the SEC class, the socio-economic classification, which is traditionally what is being used as one method of classification. In some areas of India, there's also been an inflow of foreign remittances in large pockets of Kerala, pockets of Gujarat, pockets of Andhra, and so on and so forth, and that has also had an impact. And also in some areas, notably West Bengal to some extent, and Kerala and some other areas, the changes in the land tenure system have also altered ownership patterns and created new kinds of target audiences. So there are several opportunities because of the changing dynamics in the rural environment.